Baby, listen. The teachers are quitting, honey.
I'm done.
You quit?
You're not going to be disrespected by anybody. I don't know who you people think you are, but you don't treat anybody like this. It's not funny.
I'm walking right out the door. I won't ever be back.
These kids are terrors, okay?
And when I came back, the child had taken my chair and thrown it. And my stuff that was on it, my water bottle and my keys and my sweater were on the ground.
While y'all are at home testing out new methods of parenting,
You know, kids should be able to express what they're feeling.
your kids are going to school being little terrors.
Give me a juice box, biatch.
Let's get into how it's a mass teacher exodus right now, and all the teachers are quitting. What it look like TV?
I am back. What it do, baby?
YouTube's own Varnell Hill.
Did ya miss me?
Your very own spokesman for the Insidians, we're inside and we're comfortable.
They're so comfortable.
And I'm back with another one. And today, y'all, we're gonna take a look at the teachers. Right now on TikTok, it's a lot of teachers sharing their stories about how they just can't do it anymore.
That's it. I can't take it no more.
This teaching job has become too much for the average person to handle. And like I said, a lot of people are sharing their stories. But if we really wanna understand what's going on, we're gonna have to go back like 4 years, because this story really begins in 2022.
I'm in my 19th year as a teacher. I love teaching, and I'm very good at it, which is why it breaks my heart to say that I updated my resume for the first time in 19 years, because I'm not sure I can do this for much longer, financially, emotionally, and mentally. It's breaking me, and I know so many teachers can relate. And the sad thing is, I always dreamed of being a teacher. So many teachers dreamed of becoming teachers. So what does it say about society and the education system when you have people who are doing their dream job and are choosing to leave it because they can't do it much longer? And this is not complaining. Something has to happen. This pandemic has exacerbated and exposed so many things that teachers are dealing with: the lack of resources, the lack of support, the lack of pay, the impossible expectations that we meet because we care so much about our students. And it's mentally and emotionally breaking us. If things do not change, the system is going to come crumbling down. I do not want to leave teaching, but I have one leg out because I don't know if I can do it. And I know so many teachers are in the same position. And I don't want us to lose every teacher. I don't want students to lose amazing people in their lives because the system and society just doesn't care and doesn't provide us with what we need. So please, please, please consider supporting your teachers in your schools. We need the support now more than anything else. We need a livable wage. We need the resources. We just need to know that people are invested in us and our schools as much as we invest in our students.
So as you can see, in 2022, the teachers started crying out. They started kind of giving warning signals, but nobody paid attention. But something else happened also around that whole pandemic period. They changed the whole way that these teachers were allowed to teach.
Teaching in the year 2025 is not the same career as it was teaching before the pandemic. And I think a lot of people just aren't talking about it because the people who were in it before the pandemic are the only ones who have seen how drastic of a change this is. And if you are somebody who's thinking about becoming a teacher, you are basing that sentiment and that feeling and that draw toward the profession based on your experience as a student. Your childhood memories, even up to high school, is not the same environment. If you were in high school when the pandemic started, you still knew what it felt like to be in a real elementary school class, a real middle school class where there was projects and there was creativity and the curriculum wasn't scripted. And the change isn't entirely because of the pandemic, but the pandemic is a great marking place that divided this. It's the continental rift, right? It's because before the pandemic, teachers were the curriculum. There was a curriculum to follow, but it was more of a pacing guide. And now we have what's called a scripted curriculum. And you would be shocked by how many teachers have a scripted curriculum. And this means that teachers are not the autonomous professionals. Teachers are not the ones who earned their degree and they have the depth of subject knowledge and they are the ones who are deciding what happens every day. the script is. They're going by a script. And the idea behind the script is that any administrator can walk into any classroom on any day of the year and everyone will be on the same page, literally. And this, plus all of the additional duties, responsibilities, and things to cry over in teachers' lives, is the reason why so many teachers really have to stick to that script, is because they literally do not have the bandwidth emotionally, intellectually, physically to do the things that they want to do, even if they have been teachers since the 90s, since the 2000s. Teaching is not the same, and it has gone so deeply into this hole that it cannot be the same again. And this is why the shift has happened, where behaviors have escalated crazy. It's not because of just parents, it's not just because of students, like it's all of these conditions together. Behaviors are not going to go back to the way they were before. The environment of a classroom is not ever going to go back to what you thought it was before. Everything has changed so drastically, so quickly, and in the wrong direction that it is irretrievable.
I don't read script reads me.
I'm gonna need all my teachers out there to hit me up in the comments section and verify her comments. Is she telling the truth? Is this whole you gotta use a script now on top of everything? Because I would understand how hard that would have to be, because you would kind of be able, as a teacher, I'm pretty sure you can gauge your class and what your class needs and when it kind of needs it. And to have to follow a script, I can see how that can make a difficult job already difficult. But it's a lot of people that really had dreams their whole life of becoming a teacher and was prepared to dedicate their lives to this. But once they actually got in that classroom, things quickly changed.
As a teacher, I was ready. I was ready to be underpaid. I was ready to teach the kids based off a curriculum that was sold to my district. I was ready to meet those difficult kids with compassion and understanding. I was ready to work long hours and not get paid for them. I was ready to put the little money I did make back into my classroom. I was ready to go above and beyond to create a safe learning environment for all of my students. I was ready to collaborate with parents in order to make sure their child got everything they needed in order to be successful. I was ready to work with every resource specialist in my school to make sure every student of mine got what they needed. I was ready to learn on the fly and think on my feet, since most education programs don't adequately prepare you for the real teaching experience. I was ready to be exhausted at the end of every single day, since I chose a career that I had to pour all of my emotion and energy into. I was ready to use my body as a human shield in order to protect every single one of my students. I was not ready to be hit and to have things thrown at me when a child isn't getting what they want and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to have the environment I quite literally paid money for to be destroyed by a child not getting what they want and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to have to evacuate my classroom multiple times a week because one child was destroying the room and have nothing done about it. I was not ready to be a general education teacher and be given a class with multiple students who are identified with behavioral needs, have absolutely no resources, no aids, support, or anything of the kind. I was not ready to have to fly through the curriculum, even though that's not best practice, just because we need to fit all of the information in so they can do well on a state test. The same assessment, by the way, we tell them not to worry about, not to stress about, it's not a big deal, yet at the same time, often our excuse or reasoning behind learning something or learning something a certain way is so they can do well on the test. I was not ready to have students open up to me about things that I pray that no one ever has to experience in their whole life, let alone a child, and me not being able to do anything about it except to report it and hope someone else does their job and follows up on it. I was not ready to have one child terrorize their classmates to the point where their classmates didn't want to come to school and have nothing done about it. I was not ready for a parent to exhibit such unsafe behavior that I was not allowed to be in a meeting with them by myself, yet I still had to participate and communicate with that parent all year. I was not ready to ask for a specific student to be removed from my room due to their unsafe behavior to me and the rest of the class and be told that's not possible simply because they have nowhere else for them to go. I was not ready to know that the students who need resources would never get them due to the lack of resources within the school. And overall, I was not ready to give up a dream career that I worked so hard to get into just because of a failing system that shows no promise of getting better anytime soon.
She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
She was not ready. This job affects all aspects of your life, man. Mentally, physically, spiritually. It's a lot of teachers out there that actually have physical reactions just thinking about the job.
I left teaching 3 months ago. The school district I used to teach at when I left goes back to school tomorrow, which made me start thinking about how I used to feel leaving breaks, which was horrific. I would get the Sunday scaries every break, every Sunday, as it calls itself, because I would have so much panic thinking about what I had to do in that upcoming week. I would literally just lay in bed and rot every single Sunday because I was like, I have to mentally prepare myself to be on all the time. And realistically, the breaks weren't really breaks for me. First month of summer break was just me sleeping to reset my nervous system. The first week of winter break was the exact same thing. Spring break, if I would go on a trip for spring break, I would come back needing a vacation from the vacation I just had. It was never fully relaxing. Like, I would be on spring break, Thanksgiving break, whatever, literally working to prepare to go back so I didn't fall behind. That's crazy. And I remember being in teaching being like, well, at least I get breaks. But like, did I get breaks? Like, did I really enjoy the breaks that were given to me? During what would have been my winter break this year, I worked about 5 or 6 days more than what other teachers did. But knowing my teacher friends, they also worked during their winter break. I remember thinking to myself, like, well, everybody feels this way. Like, everybody feels like they have to sleep all the time. They don't. My nervous system regulated pretty fast after leaving teaching. But one of the biggest things that I have noticed is I get to enjoy my weekends and my breaks way more than I did when I was teaching. Like on Sundays when I used to just rot, now it's my cleaning day. Like, I deep clean my house every Sunday. I went on a 5-day trip during my winter break to Minnesota, and I got to actually enjoy my trip up there because I wasn't worried about what was going to happen after break. Obviously, that doesn't mean it's going to work out for everybody in that way. It worked for me, but like, some people really, really love teaching. But if you're somebody who's wondering, like, does it get better when you leave? For me personally, it did.
I quit teaching, and here are 3 reasons why I knew I needed to quit. Number 1 is probably like a warning. When I would drive to work in the morning, I would literally hope that I drive off the bridge.
Dang.
And I thought that for a while. I went through a really tough first year just with mental health. And my second year, honestly, I was just trying to get through every single day. And that leads me into my second reason on I literally was trying to get through every single day to the next break or the next weekend. And honestly, you shouldn't really live your life looking forward to the weekend or the next break. Like, yes, you can be excited for the break or the weekend, but I didn't want to live my life anymore dictated by what breaks I get or weekends or other different little days off. I should like my day-to-day enough to want to live through it.
That's fair.
Y'all, I just can't do it anymore. I can't. I guess for the first time, I'm just beat. I feel defeated. I've been in this 6th grade classroom, it's elementary, since January 7th. I was scheduled through tomorrow. I'm not showing up tomorrow. I can't. These kids are a challenge. The lesson plans, they suck. So that plays into the behaviors, but it has challenged me so much, and no matter what I try to do, it won't go through their heads. I don't know what to do. They need someone else to come in here because the teacher is supposed to be gone through the end of the year. They need to figure something out. Over the last 2.5 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 different teachers come in here, talk to them, crash out on them. The assistant principal, the counselor, the principal, sending kids to the office, just everything that we can do in our power to try to rein them in, they just refuse. They're in a weird time right now because the lesson plans, like I said, they're not very good. There's a lot of free time. I've had to try and find things for them to do, but all I ask from them is stay in your seats, do your work, keep the volume at an appropriate level, and we're good. We're good. They can't even do that. They're up, running around the room, not doing their work. They refuse to do their work. I have students where they literally will not work. No matter what I do, what I say, who I get, they will not work. All they want to do is get on the computer and play games, play Geometry Dash.
I don't want to study.
Give me that.
Just killed me.
I think there's no other way around this, man. I tried to give y'all the administration angle. I tried to give y'all the whole system of teaching angle. But the real problem, the real hardest and the biggest hurdle that these teachers have to overcome is these badass kids. Your bad behind kids is the biggest problem with these schools.
Do you honestly believe that these teachers are quitting their job 2 weeks into the school year because they're not getting paid enough or because the politics that they're dealing with from outside of the classroom is too much to handle? No, that's not the reason. The reason why they're quitting is because these kids are mean and they're making the classroom a war zone and they're getting zero support from parents at home and from admin on their campus. This 100% stems from the stuff that they have to deal with day in and day out from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. inside their classroom. It's the stuff that you have to deal with inside your classroom that makes you burn out and makes you never want to come back. I understand that so many of our kids are dealing with rough lives at home and are dealing with trauma, dealing with mental illness, dealing with learning disabilities. All of those things make it difficult to thrive in school, and I understand that. But the problem is that all of those things are no reason to treat other human beings like a piece of garbage. Regardless of your opinion of teachers, most teachers that I know wake up every single day excited to teach whatever lesson that they've spent hours planning and creating, and they want to have a meaningful experience with the students in their classroom. They want to have a good day. And I know, speaking for myself, I woke up every day praying that it was going to be a good day, praying that the kids that I had that day were going to be as excited about the content that I was ready to present as much as I was. And most days, that is not what I got met with. On the daily, teachers are getting cussed out, spit on, hit, flipped off. Their equipment is getting broken and stolen. There are bullies in class that are relentless, not just to their own fellow students, but to the adult in the room. Imagine if you had to deal with that at your job. I'm speaking to non-teachers right now, right? You would not put up with that. You would stay somewhere where you were treated with respect and you knew that you were safe in your work environment. If someone came every single day to your job, bullied you, hit you, cussed you out, rolled their eyes at you, treated you like you were nothing, like you were garbage, you wouldn't want to come back either. You would put in your 2 weeks notice. But for some reason, so many people believe that we signed up for that because that's a part of teaching, and that's just how kids are.
That's a valid point, man. Just because you studied and you became a teacher did not mean that you signed up to be disrespected every day. It's the parents' responsibility to be sending respectful kids out into the public sphere every day. But anyway, with all that being said, what exactly are these teachers going through on a daily that's getting underneath their skin? How are these kids acting?
I had a student that told me, "What you gonna do about it?" Really? So I was ignoring them because we were out at tennis and he was banging his racket. And so I told him he had to sit down. He lost 5 minutes of tennis. And he was like, "I don't care. I don't have to listen to you. I'm not going to do it. What you going to do about it?" So then he was in my space. So I said, "I need you to back up. What you going to do?" "What am I going to do? What are you going to do?" He said, "You got to go back to teacher school and be a better teacher." Okay, thank you for the tip. Oh my God. Like, this child acted like this last year. So I was waiting. I've been waiting for it to like really come pouring out at me. And I got a taste of it today. So I was just ignoring them. I was looking around. I was talking to other students. Just saying my name over and over and over, like literally. And like a baby whining. "Teacher, teacher, 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 teacher." I said, "Can you please stop?" "No." "What are you going to do?" "Teacher, teacher, teacher, teacher." So I got my turn and I moved it. And they followed me. And I said, "I need you to back up. I don't want you in my space right now." So I stood up to go help another student. And when I came back, the child had taken my chair and thrown it. And my stuff that was on it, my water bottle, my keys, and my sweater were on the ground.
Damn!
You're not gonna believe what the student did to me today at school. Disclaimer, he is not a student of mine. He is a student that was supposed to be in a class across the hall from me. This actually happened during passing period. I had just graded my students at the door, and I was speaking to another student of mine about some missing assignments that she had. She was standing right next to me. Again, we were standing still at the door. The student was in the hallway, and I was standing right by my door. When I see another student pass by me right in front of me, and he goes into my class, mind you, he is not a student of mine, so I immediately asked him to leave my class and to please go to his correct class. He knew exactly where he needed to be, and he made the choice to come into my classroom. As he is finally exiting, he decides to stop right in front of me where I'm standing at the door. And you guys already know, I'm only 3 feet 3 inches tall. Now, these are students who are about to go into high school. This student is very, very tall. And he gave me no personal space. And what I mean by that was that he intentionally stood right in front of me, and we were probably about 2 inches away from him rubbing his private parts in my face. And he did this with a smirk on his face.
That's just plain wrong.
So I know for a fact that he did it intentionally. This was no accident. He had plenty of space to walk on the side of the door, but instead he chose to stand right in front of me, look down on me, and almost rubbed his parts on me.
Man, these kids be out there doing too much, man. You did not sign up to be disrespected every day just because you a teacher, man. It's kind of hard not to side with the teachers on this one.
This is going to be one of those videos that I'm going to lose my shit in. It's complete bullshit. They're not spending every day in the classroom where these kids are terrors, okay? These kids are spitting, they're hitting, they're kicking, they're hurting their friends consistently. That's what they do. Bullshit. Bullshit. Your kid doesn't just shit his pants at 5 years old because they're bullshit. In my state, anyway. They're excuses. And then they write it on a piece of paper. You've been potty trained for 3 years. We've got to stop making exceptions for these kids. They're going to get nowhere in life if we continue to walk on eggshells and reward them for their bad behavior. There, I said it. I'm done. And your kid's still a ass. Rant over.
Jake, what you doing?
Open. I'm just
Let me tell you something. Leaving the school is the best decision I ever made. The kids are aggravating and the parents are aggravating, and let's not talk about administration.
A lot of these teachers wake up every day, go to work, knowing that they're going into a potentially volatile and violent situation.
Mom said I had the rights to beat your ass. Mom said I had the rights to beat your ass.
And this is one of the reasons why I quit. After a degree, after clinicals, after 5 years of teaching, one of those reasons is why I quit. And what had happened was I had a difficult student who he would come in high, he would sleep all class period, wrote him up, admin did absolutely nothing. To a point to where some admin were deleting my referrals, deleting them. I would go back in and they would be gone for multiple students. And my last straw was the same kid. We were about to read. The audio was for 10 minutes and 16 seconds. 10 minutes and 16 seconds, I was asking students to put their phone away. And I kept asking him and he wouldn't oblige. And he turns around to me and he says, "You annoying as f***." That day I put in all my sick time. I put my 2 weeks in. I walked out. I ain't been back since. My stuff's still sitting in that desk. Y'all can kiss my ass.
And she's never coming back.
You pretty much put in a situation where if you defend yourself or try to diffuse this situation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose your whole career. And when you step it up to special ed, you know you're walking into this situation every day, and those teachers really have their hands full.
I left my special education teaching job in Maryland after 3 months. Here's why. Before anything, I just want to say that I have so much respect for special ed teachers. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world. But for me personally, I was put in a position that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know going into the role that I would be responsible for potty training and toileting support.
Wait, what?
I didn't know going into the role that I would be responsible for potty training and toileting support. It wasn't in the job description, and they never mentioned it in the interview. And nobody prepared me for that. I tried to do it, but I felt so uncomfortable. And honestly, it just felt weird that they never mentioned pod training at all. I figured it out. Another thing I learned, apparently states like Texas, Cali, and Maryland, students are legally allowed to attend school even if they're not potty trained. I never had to deal with that in New York, and it's just not something I personally feel comfortable handling or being trained for. I just walked into that with zero warning, and that was a huge shock for me. The second reason was safety. Some of my students were extremely dysregulated and would become violent with no warning or trigger. One of my students once punched me and said he wanted to kill me. I was not trained to handle that level of behavior. No one told me that this would be part of my role, and none of the professional development meetings and training gave any real training for crisis management. I was just kind of thrown into this and expected to figure it out. And the third reason was the lack of support. General education teachers were all assigned mentors, but I was the only self-adaptive room special education teacher in the whole school, and I did not have anyone guiding me, no curriculum, no mentor, no experienced teacher to check up on me, nothing. I felt alone, and it just caused so much anxiety. So ultimately, it wasn't sustainable for me, and I realized it
was not the right place for me, especially without proper training or support. But I do want to make it clear that it's none of the kids' fault. They have severe disabilities, but they deserve properly trained and supported teachers that want to be there. I am just not one of them, unfortunately.
How my day went subbing? I'll tell you, because it's a first for me, okay? In case you ever, were wondering what it looks like, okay, for a child, a small child, to hit a teacher. Ooh, okay, well, I witnessed it 4 times today.
Damn.
Okay, a small elementary student, back of the hand, just hit the teacher. And let me tell you, my face, I said, what on earth? I'm new here. I was subbing for a specials class. This child, this school that I've never subbed out for specials, I'm never doing again. They're like, you coming back? Are you crazy? Y'all be hitting people here. I'm not coming back. They didn't hit me. They hit me. We're taking it outside. I don't care if you're special or not. This child walked in and just started hitting the teacher. Just, no one could even see it coming. They're like, go to the safe space. And then she's like, this happens quite often. I go, you get hit quite often by a child? Oh, I'd be out the door. I would be gone. I don't care who the kid is. I'd be gone. And then the other kid in the classroom threw a chair through the window. I can't make this up. We had to go to the safe place with the 3 other children. And keep in mind, it was a half day. I just randomly showed up. I literally walked into the school. I was like, what classroom? And they point me to the classroom. Like, okay, wandering down the hall. See a bunch of kids outside the classroom. I'm like, that's odd. And they're like, we have to stay out here because... I was like, I'm like, what's happening? They're like, we have to stay out here because it's no longer safe in the classroom. Which means that some kid is losing their ever-living mind. So I was like, okay. So I stayed out, and then a teacher poked their hat out. And I was like, oh, I'm just subbing. They go, okay, great. Can you take these kids somewhere? Keep in mind, I just got here. I don't even know these kids' names. So we wander around the hall, whatever. I'm there telling me what this kid was going bananas. I was like, all right, not unusual, by the way. So I take these kids somewhere. I go back to the classroom because it's deemed safe now with these children that I've just met. Another kid hit somebody and then started attacking them. Every 5 minutes, someone started attacking another student and then wrecked the entire room. And they were like, can you stay in here with all of them? No, hell no. First of all, in a subcontract, you cannot stay alone with them. Second of all, if my life's in danger, I'm not the teacher. I don't care enough. I'm getting the heck out of here and taking the kids with me that are in danger. I'm not staying in here with this lunatic. I don't care what they got wrong with them. They're throwing things. And you know what? That might be a hot take. That is not what I signed up for. Okay, that's not teaching. That is literally, and listen, I understand they can't control it, but it was crazy. Literally, they told me, they were like, this is the craziest day we've had. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start praying for y'all. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. Every 5 minutes. There was never a calm moment in the special ed classroom. Never. We always had to be going somewhere. Every student at one point just got set off. And then this random little girl, I'm just sitting in the classroom with the other teacher watching this one kid that I'm with. She's a precious little angel. And then another kid that's in the room, I just watched walk in, didn't even see it coming, just back of the hand, hit some teacher upside the face. I was like, good night, I'm out of here. Are you gonna come back? No, I'm banning this school from my list. I will never be subbing here again. I don't care. Absolutely not. Goodbye. Absolutely not. Some people are real soldiers out there. I would not be me. Okay, we'd be taking it outside.
The Bernie Mac was strong in her.
So I'm from the old school. I'll kick a kid ass. When a kid get 1 year old, I believe you got the right to hit him in the throat or the stomach.
She was like, special or not, hit me, I'm gonna hit you back.
If she hits me, I'm giving it to her.
I left mid-year. Let's talk about it. I just moved back to the city of Chicago and I got a job in CPS. I knew nothing about CPS and that was the issue. I was so stressed because it was already summer and I didn't have a job yet. So I interviewed for this school in a rougher neighborhood and I got it. I should have done my research. It was terrible. I would try and help a kid and they would be like, B, get the F out of my face. Or they would take the eraser part off the pencils, sharpen them to a point, and then throw them across the room into people's eyes. And I was teaching science. I couldn't even do a lab with water without water getting squirted into people's faces and pennies getting flicked across the room. So I really couldn't do anything. I was almost throwing up every single day. If not every day, I was nauseous going to work, hoping that I'd get hit by a car.
Like I said, it's kind of hard not to be on the teacher's side on this one. And I understand about the curriculum and the things they have to go through with the school board and funding. But I think the number one thing that everyone can do is if you got some kids and you got to send them to school, make sure you send them a respectful child out into the world. all this, your child can choose which adult that they should respect, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because when you leave it up to your child that he can pick and choose, or you're going to tell him which adult to respect and which adult not to respect, they ain't going to respect no adults. Come on, man. We need to start raising our kids, and they need to start realizing that it's levels to these things, and that you don't talk to adults and you don't engage with adults the same way that you would engage with your friends. And they shouldn't be at home engaging with you like that.
He ain't lying.
So with that being said, man, I need all my teachers to sound off in the comments section. Let me know if these thoughts are dead on, or if these teachers are soft or weak or something, and if they just told us a good story, or if it's really like that in these classrooms and it's really driving y'all crazy. Let us know. Set the record straight. But we done explored this about as far and as deep as we can go. So this video is going to end like all the other videos. Hit me up in the comments section and let me know how you feel about everything you have just witnessed.
Tell me how you felt about what just happened there.
And if you made it to this point in the video, you are my MVP.
It was a stone groove, my man.
I'm out of here.
Back in the fall when I was teaching, the 8th grade boys were very, very difficult. And anyways, on this particular day, I would watch the gym. Okay, so I taught PE with my 2 other coworkers. The female PE teacher, she would watch the girls' locker room. Male PE teacher would watch the boys' locker room, and then I would sit in the gym. And as people got changed, they would come out, and I would just monitor to make sure everyone, was being safe. All they had to do was go change, and then come out, and then walk laps and talk with their friends. Easy. But anyways, on this day, they know you are not supposed to touch equipment when it's out. Do not touch the equipment. Just walk and talk. It's that simple. I was talking with a student, and I just see his ball being thrown, kicked around the gym. People are screaming, they're kicking it and running from it. And so I'm looking at the student. I was like, "Hey, bring me that ball," whatever. And all of a sudden, someone throws it over and it hits me in the leg. And I wasn't thinking. I was just talking to the student. I bent down to pick it up so I could put it on the bleachers, and I was like, "Why is that wet?" And I looked at my leg, and there's a giant wet spot. And a student came over. He's like, "Miss Glover, don't touch that." And I said, "Too late. Why is that soaking wet?" And this is a good kid. And he's like, they were peeing on that in the locker room. What? I said, "I'm sorry, did you say they were peeing on that? The ball that I just touched?" And he was like, so I walked right out of the gym to my coworker. I said, "Watch them." And she could tell I was pissed. I walked right out to admin, told him, I was like, "I just got hit by a urine-soaked ball by the 8th grade boys." I said, yeah, something needs to be done right now. I'm mad. I'm so mad. I showed them my leg, the giant wet spot. So a couple minutes goes by, they come in. They pull the guys into the locker room. I go and teach my class. And afterwards I come out, I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "So what's happening?" Because I'm furious. And they're like, "Well, we talked to the guys and we don't know for a fact if there was pee on it. But we do know that it was in the urinal. They did own up to it being in the urinal, but no one, owned up to peeing on it." I'm like, "Well, no, duh. Why would they own up to that?" And I said, "Okay, so what's going to happen? Who's getting in trouble? What's the next step?" They're like, "Well, we can't really pinpoint it to one person, so we can't really write anyone up." I'm sorry. So nothing's going to happen? They're like, "Well, unfortunately, we can't really do anything about it." Got it. I can understand, you can't pinpoint one person, but you know what? That group has been an issue for weeks at this point. Anyways, I finished my day. I come back in the next day. I'm walking through the front of the school, whatever, I can't remember. And, some admins see me. They're like, "Hey, Glover, did you burn those pants yet?" Making jokes. Several times I had jokes made to me about the fact that I was hit with a, what we call the pee ball. My own admin made jokes to me about that, which I'm sorry, I just think it's incredibly inappropriate, because if any of them was in my position, I can assure you that it would have been handled probably differently. Someone was getting in trouble, right? Not a single child got reprimanded or in trouble because of that. And then a couple of weeks later, I was talking to my SRO about it, and I said something because I, talking about how, you know, I got offered a new job, whatever. And I said, yeah, I said, the pee ball was really my tipping point. And he's like, the what? I said, yeah, I said, you know, a couple weeks ago, I got hit with a urine-soaked ball and I didn't do anything about it. And he goes, you what? And I told him, I was like, oh, you didn't know? So I told him the whole thing. And he goes, that's actually like not okay. He's like, no one got in trouble? I said, no. He goes, Hannah, that's assault with a bodily fluid. Like that legally, that's like not okay. He was mad for me. I said, yeah, well, guess what? Nothing happened. Oh, they did make jokes at me. There's that. So that is just one of multiple stories as to why I decided that I'm done teaching. There's another one. Oh, it makes me so mad to think about. Actually, two specifically. There's two that really piss me off. I'll do another one tomorrow. Because I'm going to get myself real mad if I keep talking. Oh, if I do that one now, I'm going to be really mad. I need to calm down.